Hello, everyone, and good morning, good afternoon, good night. We're here to talk about divine light. I'm going to do a quick channeled reading for the collective. I am pretty upset because I did a 17-minute video for the collective, and somehow it ended up in the trash. So I'm redoing this video. Now, I wanted to utilize the same cards because the message was very important. Okay, so the bottom of the deck for the first deck that I pulled, which was the Native Heart Oracle, the card was Sun God. Okay, card number 21. It feels like, I don't know. Okay. It feels like we're ascending or we're growing spiritually and in all aspects of our life. And as we're doing so, it feels like we need to protect our energy and preserve our energy so that we can get the most out of our own ascension and our own growth. Now, focusing on ourselves doesn't necessarily mean that we are selfish in any way. We are just becoming more in tune with ourselves, in tune with the spirit, finding a way to become one and find unison between the soul and the body, or the soul and the self. And in doing so, we are protecting our energy. We're preserving it essentially for ourselves. Okay, so for the first card that came out was card number 18, Sacred Serpent. So the way that I was reading this card here is there are people out there that do not have your best interests, that present themselves otherwise. Okay, they try to win you over. They try their hardest to woo you over and let you know that, hey, I got your back, I got you, no worries. Yeah, well, it's all a front. Okay, Spirit is trying to remind you that you need to protect yours. You need to protect your energy. You have a very important gift to share with the world. And in order for you to become that authentic self and express yourself authentically, you need to preserve your energy and be selfish in that regard. Okay, so be careful with the snakes that present themselves to be one way or another, and protect your energy for the overall good of yourself as well as the overall good of the collective. Now, when you show up in your authentic being and your overall divine light, then you domino effect someone else feeling comfortable and feeling safe that they too can show up in their divine light. Okay, and then it becomes a domino effect of more light beams that brighten, right, and illuminate our world to be a better place. On the contrary, Sacred Serpent also gives me this vibe about shedding. So you know how snakes and reptilians, they go through that shedding season where they are peeling off a layer of skin so that a new one can form. Now, I'm getting that with you. You're shedding old habits, you're shedding an old self, and in doing so, you're again growing. You're becoming a new version of yourself toward that highest good and overall highest divine light. Okay, what else? Oh, okay, so this card, before I get into clarification, I'm just going to keep going, okay? So the second card that was pulled out with the Native Heart Oracle was card number 19, Relic of Time. Now, this card showed up in reverse, and I read it intuitively as if we are blocking our own time, or we're neglecting to see that we're attempting to jump timelines, but we're not executing it in the correct way because we're not pausing in between to allow us to catch up, okay, or allow us to adapt to that new growth before we go on to the next level. Now, when we skip levels or we jump like that, we're only setting ourselves up for failure, because what happens is we end up jumping, let's say, 3 times, right? Jumping 3 times, and then you have to take 2 steps back, and you end up exactly where you started. Okay, so I want you to challenge yourself to work smarter, not harder, especially when it comes down to your energy. Remember that the concept of time is fluid, it's timeless, and we have a lot more time than we have ever been conditioned to believe. Okay, it's a man-made concept, and even though it feels like, oh, I need to do X amount of work in order to feel like I'm successful, or I've been led to believe that success means this, that, and the other. Yeah, those are all incorrect. And it's time to really break down all those foundations and to rebuild all of the foundations for yourself to feel safe, to build from that, okay? And remind yourself that you don't need to believe everything that you were taught, okay? It was kind of like the blind leading the blind, all right? So if you look at our past generations, it's not like they were that much wiser than us when it comes down to certain things like spirituality, for example, or even mental health. Okay, those are two small umbrellas that I feel were a big generational gap that we are exceeding that growth from our previous generations. Now, on the contrary, we do have like ancestors that have so much divine wisdom that we've lost along the way because society, the government, etc., right, the elites, they want to keep us at this lower vibration to avoid us becoming on their same level, working less and having more freedom doing what we love. Okay, so just remember, the concept of time is fluid, and you have so much more time than you think. Okay, so stop stressing so much on that. Now, card number 42 was the last card to come up, and it's Earth Star Chakra. This was giving grounding energy, the need to connect to nature, the need to find some sort of unison with Mother Earth as you're growing spiritually. Reminding yourself of that root and base chakra, okay? Saying affirmations that keep you grounded, or listening to hertz frequencies that are more attuned toward that root chakra. Giving yourself affirmations like, I am connected with the energy of Mother Earth, and visualizing the color red, and trying to connect to nature in any way that we can, allowing ourselves to be barefoot in the grass, in the sand, in the water, whatever element we feel is calling us, we should try to connect with. Okay, so clarification cards for the first one was base chakra, card 1. So numerology, we have 118. It feels that we are manifesting our abundance, or reminding ourselves of the physical, financial freedom that was always meant to be ours. We just never allowed ourselves to tap into that energy because we've been conditioned to feel less than and stay within that like survival mode. We're no longer reminding ourselves that it's important to ascend higher than that survival mode, higher than that root chakra, so that we can tune into that vibration that was always meant to be ours, if that makes sense. Okay, so grounding and protecting your energy, but in doing so, reminding that you're connecting to your spirit as your spirit is connecting to your body. So there's going to feel some sort of like misalignment essentially, as you're like growing, as you're learning, but it's because it's like a seesaw, right? You grow in one direction, and then one has to catch up, kind of thing. Now the second one for Relic of Time, the clarification card was card number 30, Will. So what I was getting with this was to get out of your hermit mode, okay? Get out of the shell that has been binding you to be comfortable within a small space. You are beyond that comfort zone. You're not even meant to stay within that shell or stay hermited or stay hiding. Spirit wants you to express yourself and find some sort of direction in your goals, right? Be assertive, and when you're finding that unison with the spirit, and allowing your spirit to lead you in the right direction toward your spiritual purpose. It just kind of feels like we're not having enough self-control. We're taking like the back seat or even the passenger seat of our life, and we were never meant for that to happen. We were always meant to drive. We were meant to be the one in the driver's seat, calling the shots, making the turns, pausing when we need to pause, and just being constantly on a high alert of the traffic around us. Okay, the traffic being our peers, our others, our environment, our surroundings, our career, etc. So many variables play a part in that traffic that we're coming in contact on a daily basis. Okay, so express yourself, be assertive, don't worry about other people. Just focus on you. Be selfish. You're going through your own ascension, and when you're doing so, protect your energy. Make sure that you're only sharing your direction, your goals, your experiences with the people that you trust and have your best interest at heart. Okay? For the last one, card number 34, communication, came out in reverse to clarify the Earth Star chakra. So we're not vocalizing, we're not sharing and exchanging our ideas, our thoughts, our feelings. We've kind of dimmed our light to make other people feel comfortable, and that's not fair. That's not fair to us. It's not fair to even others, because we're not living in our authentic self. There's a lot of throat chakra energy here, and also root chakra. So we're kind of feeling disconnected from, again, like I said, that spirit and the self feel slightly disconnected as we're finding unison, as we're finding that common ground to ascend together. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you. But when you're grounding and you're connecting to nature, I also want you to try to say affirmations that tie into your throat chakra. Okay, so think about like the color blue. I want you to say affirmations like I speak fluidly and authentically, with ease and grace. I ensure that my voice is heard and my light is never dimmed. Things like that. Okay, I want you to feel like you're connecting to yourself and your spirit at the same time. So this was the overall energy that I was getting for the collective. I really hope that you found some sort of insight here. I'm going to go ahead and dig a little bit deeper with the extended reading. If you want to stick around, I'd love to have you, and go ahead and click that link in the description box below. But if you did find any insight here, go ahead and leave me a comment, and let's connect. Let's share our ideas and experiences. This is 100% a safe place for you, and to feel heard. Okay, I want you to feel like you can express yourself, and if you don't have that in your everyday life, this is most definitely a place for you. Okay, so with love and light, I close out today's reading, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.